Howdy do. Welcome aboard. Happy Monday, everybody. It is heading back to the window with Scott and Scott. I am your host, Scott Steen, lead handicapper at winnersandwhiners.com.
And I'm your co-host, Scott Reschultz, senior handicapper over winnersandwhiners.com.
And together, we do this each and every day, 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, as we do our very best to help you in your journey as you attempt to head back to the window.
Hang on a second. I'm going to quickly try out something on live broadcast here. Let me see if I can do this. There we go. Switch the sides. Now you're back on the correct side.
Is there a correct side?
I was on the left. I'm usually on the right. So I found out how to switch that mid-broadcast. I was trying to flex my technology knowledge.
You feel good now?
I feel great. Feels great. How's it going with you?
It's fine, buddy. Man, what a historic weekend. Unbelievable day yesterday, of course.
I know the college basketball was nuts.
I'm talking about Ioka Lee putting up 61 points on 13th ranked Oklahoma for K-State, breaking the all-time women's college basketball scoring record. Unbelievable. What a day. It was
clearly the most exciting thing that happened the entire weekend.
Absolutely. For fans here in Kansas City, that K-State women's basketball game, nothing better than that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Apparently there was some football as well, but who cares?
Apparently there was. Hey, it's good to be here. It's good to have you guys in the house. Do a little roll call here as we get going. Here is a DGen after my own heart. Roland checking in and half an hour before game time, wanting to know about Alabama A&M and Prairie View A&M. You were right, Scott. It is Prairie View A&M.
So I thought.
Florida Ole Miss. Man, that's if you're checking in 30 minutes early to get our opinion on a SWAC game, God bless you. You are just our kind of person right there. James S. in the house, Ryan Page in the house. Want to get our tech on Texas Tech and Kansas. Browns backers here. Had mentioned on the show Friday overtime in the Kansas City game. Wish I had a bet on it. Yeah.
I saw that draw at halftime and draw full game. The double combo paid out about 95-1.
95-1. Yeah. JC Stone said I had Navy money line as my only loss on a 9-game parlay. Navy up 27, losing overtime. Jesus.
I was actually going to say that was probably the worst beat of the weekend. We kept it relatively, not even relatively. We just kept it NFL based because that's what we always do when there's big, NFL cards and everything like that. The Navy game was crazy, especially against Army. You blow a 27-point lead to your rival. That sucks.
Not good, Bob. Not good at all. Oh, man. Hope everybody had a great weekend. Scott, how'd your betting weekend go? I know you finished it up down there in Miami. How'd you end up doing?
I don't think I won a single play while I was in Miami. But on the bright side, the NFL was actually pretty good for the show we did with Chris King. I went 6-2, so I had a pretty good week in the NFL.
Good.
I made some money on yesterday's card. Overall, ended up fine. But I'll be honest, my Miami plays of the day were really not that great.
It was almost like you were focused on going out and clubbing and doing fun stuff and laying on the... Oh, no, you didn't. None of those things.
Do I look a little bit more tan? Because I shouldn't.
No, you don't.
Okay. Cool.
Not at all.
Yeah.
I had a terrible Saturday and ended up having a decent Sunday. Certainly took a while, though. I had as far as my premium goes, I had the Tampa Bay team total over 25.5, and we may even talk about that here in a minute. And I had the Chiefs minus 1.5. So a couple of no sweat victories there. 2 games, I'm going to be completely honest, Scott, I gave up on both of them. I pretty much quit on both of those games. I went to watch my wife got home from work and she goes, you want to go see the flyover? I'm like, yeah, this game's over. It was like 5 minutes left. LA had the ball and Tampa Bay had 13 points. I'm like, yeah, I'm fucked. So
I live bet the game. I landed at JFK, and as we just landed, the second we landed, I pulled out my phone, went on to one of the legal sports books here, and placed a live parlay. Brady 300+ passing yards, Mike Evan 100+ receiving yards. That paid out at about plus 240, and then garbage. I can't even call it garbage time happen, but I got that 55-yard touchdown bomb to Evans, and I won both. So that was a nice way to come back to New York.
Very good. Hey, you know what? Let's talk about the 2 games that Roland wanted to talk about there before we get rolling. No pun intended. Sorry, Roland. Alabama A&M, Prairie View A&M, 4-12 team squaring off against the 3-12 team. Both these teams 6-9 against the number. Prairie View at home minus the 6 points. Scott, you want to get involved in this game?
Well, blindly, people would take the points because you don't want to lay 6 with a 3-14 team, and I understand that. But Alabama A&M on the road is awful. They are 2-11 on the road. They are 4-8-1 ATS on the road. Prairie View, despite playing 17 games, has only played 3 home games, which is insane to me. I'm not sure how that happens, but I'm going to take the home team because I know for a fact Alabama A&M is awful on the road. I don't know what to think of Prairie View because they barely played any home games. So I'm going to go ahead and lean to the favorite here. I'm not betting it, but that's where I'd go.
I'm going to take the points, and I'm coming back to a game here. Prairie View A&M lost outright at home to Mississippi Valley State as a 17-point chalk. Just on general principles, just for that reason.
That's fair.
I'm not playing them. And what was the other one? Florida. The Florida
and Ole
game?
Miss.
Yeah, there you go.
Ole Miss, team that lost to Missouri at home by about 30. So
Ooh.
is that general rule you're taking Florida?
Yeah, pretty much. I would. I want to look at injuries here. You have it up in front of you yet?
Let me see if I can pull it up.
I didn't cheat. I thought I could roll right to it without putting it in.
I know Ole Miss was missing one of their best players recently, but I'm not sure if he came back or not. Give me a second.
I can tell you, Joyner is out.
Joyner's one I'm talking about. Yeah,
he's out 4 to 6 weeks. In Florida, Castleton is questionable for this one, and that's
a big deal.
That's huge as well. So
yeah. I'm taking the points.
I think I would probably have to take the points there as well. I probably want to get information on Castleton. I think this is already built in, getting 4 points. But in spite of that dreadful performance against a horrible Missouri team,
Ole Miss is still a pretty good home team. So Florida, we know, is a team that is a bit streaky at times. Castleton, they need to have. He's one of, if not their best player. But, I mean, Florida's 1-2 on the road, both ATS and straight up. I don't know if I fully trust them in this spot. Money has come in on Mississippi. So it has gone from around 6 to 4, which makes me believe that Castleton might be leaning out, if I had to guess.
Yep.
And I don't mind to play an Ole Miss money line because Castleton does so much for that team on both sides of the ball.
Yeah,
I would expect Florida to look a little bit out of sorts.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is a buy low spot for Ole Miss.
I agree.
It all comes down to Castleton. If Castleton plays, I'm going to take the points, especially if I can get it at 4.
I mean, you're going to lay the points.
Well, yeah, that's why I'm going to get the points. Yeah. So, all right, let's get to it. We'll talk about some other games, of course, as we always do. But we've got a lot to cover today, as you guys might guess. So let's talk. Brad Crawford checking in. What's up, Brad? Thank God the Chiefs had those timeouts at the end of the game. No chance winning that. Yeah, no timeout. Yeah, slim and none. Yeah, no kidding. Scott Nowak is in the house. What up, Scott? Hit the Bengals +4, Rams on the money line, and the Chiefs. Very good. That's a nice, solid day indeed.
Scott, you weren't sweating out the last game. You were sweating out the last 2 games of that parlay.
Yeah, indeed. T-Train in the house. What's up, buddy?
I haven't heard the name Lynn Elliott in years. So Brad's really, giving some throwbacks to you.
We don't speak this. We don't speak that name.
Just saying, I haven't heard that name in a long time.
No, he's the Baltimore. I've told you the story. I went to that game. I got off work and I went to that game at halftime, and all I had on was like my suit jacket and suit pants and shit. And it was like fucking 35 degrees with a 30-mile-an-hour wind. Just brutal.
So is he the Gary Anderson of your franchise?
Yes. Okay. Yes, he is. Absolutely. All right, let's talk a little bit about some of the things that went down over the weekend. As you guys might suspect, it's going to be rather NFL heavy. But you know the drill. Let's find out who took it in the shorts, who did well, who did badly, who had it right up until the last minute. And I bet there's going to be a few of them, Scott, on the Monday edition of Call the Cops. By the way, we do want to remind everybody, now that we have everybody here, to like and subscribe. Don't forget to smash those buttons and all that good stuff.
What happens if they don't do it?
If you don't do it, Chris King's going to come on. He's going to spend 10 minutes telling us why Buffalo should have won that game. So if you didn't get to hear him and Jim talk about it earlier today, That's our threat that we're holding over you in this situation. But today's call the cops. Let's get it rolling, Scott. Well, we'll start with the obvious one. If you had the Bills plus 2.5, well, you thought you had this one in the bag a bunch of times as they led by
Squib the kickoff, you idiots.
3 points with 13 seconds left. They did not squib the kickoff. We can certainly talk about that because everybody else sent that right deep into the end zone. And, well, you know what the Chiefs did. They had Tyreek Hill and they had Travis Kelce, 44 yards, 2 plays. Harrison Butker, 49 yards, money. Game-tying field goal. Flip the coin. Comes up heads when tails was called. That's your ball game right there. Bills lose by 6 in overtime.
Not fun. I'm trying to remember if the line ever got to 3. Did it ever get to 3? I don't think it did.
I don't think so. I don't remember seeing a 3 anywhere. I think it was.
Yeah, so the touchdown or field goal didn't necessarily matter besides Allen not getting the ball. That was kind of the main story of that touchdown. But McDermott's a coach, which we talked about before we went on air. There's a lot of coaches who are good, and then as soon as it becomes serious pressure time, you don't trust anybody besides like 2 guys.
Yep, that's absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. All right, well, let's talk about this one, Scott, because I was on the other side of this, and as I mentioned, but yeah, go ahead, bud.
So you got to talk about the Buccaneers game against the Rams, and if you had the Buccaneers team total under 25.5, if you faded my co-host, what an idiot. No, but actually, you were in a good spot because Tampa only had 13 points with about 3:21 left in the fourth quarter. Buccaneers scored a touchdown. Good for them. You know, Rams have the ball, 1 or 2 first downs, game's over. Tampa will have to go 75 yards in about 30 seconds. Game's basically over. Wait a second, Cam Akers fumbled again. And the Buccaneers got the ball back immediately in plus territory. Buccaneers scored again, finished with 27 points.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And finally, same game. You had the Rams Buccaneers first half under 24.5. Oh man.
There's one trend in both of them. Cam Akers fumbled.
I think what we want there is the over, Scott.
Sorry, yeah, the over. Sorry.
The over 24.5. They had 24 points, 30 seconds left. They've got the ball. Don't change it now. I've already said it.
I already changed it. Deal with it.
23 points, 30 seconds left. Had the ball at the 1 yard line. Well, they actually had about the 4 yard line. And runs for about 3 yards. And everything's fine. Oh, everybody's scrambling around. Well, it's one of those cute little, he was already down and he fumbled, but nobody gives a fuck. Wait a minute. Wait, did that ball come? It's starting to come loose there before the, oh shit. Yeah, that's a fumble.
They showed about 17 angles from it. I could tell it was a fumble on like the first angle.
Yeah, you really could. You could see that ball coming loose. Rams fumbled at the 1 yard line. Buccaneers recover. 23 is your halftime score if you had the over 24.5. Oh! Call the cops.
Yeah, my bad for the typo, but that's pretty bad.
It's all right. That's all right. You know me. I read whatever's on the teleprompter, buddy. There was some nice, easy wins over the weekend. It doesn't seem like it, but there definitely were. You know who you are. If you had one of these, man, you were definitely sitting in the rocking chair.
So, first one was a matchup on Saturday between the Bengals and the Titans. And if you had the under 47.5, you were in good shape because you only had 15 points at halftime. Game landed at 35. You had about what felt like 45 sacks.
This is my personal favorite right here. Talk about if you had plans Saturday afternoon, you're like, well, I guess I'll watch this Tennessee game to see if I can hit my Tannehill over half an interception prop. You didn't have to wait long. First pass that Tennessee threw, picked off. Jesus Christ. Ryan Tannehill finishes with 3 interceptions. But
that was plus money, by the way. That was like plus 105. If
you had Ryan Tannehill over a half an interception at plus 105, like I did, congratulations. That's the rockinest of rocking chairs right there, kids. Your wife's like, what do you mean we were ready to go? I thought you were going to watch the game. Yeah, it's over. I won. It's cool.
All and right, the last one, if you had a prop in the Chiefs-Bills game and you looked at the quarterbacks and people were talking about Josh Allen being very mobile, So is Patrick Mahomes. If you had the over 24.5 rushing yards for Mahomes, you had to wait about, 8 minutes,
Yeah.
7 minutes. He had the 134-yard carry, 35-yard carry, but he finished the first quarter with 49 rushing yards. He finished with 69. Nice.
Do you get the feeling that like Mahomes reads Twitter and say, well, they're pretty close, but Josh Allen is the much better runner? You get the feeling that Mahomes just wants to prove everybody wrong in that situation, or am I reading too much into it?
The truth is no. I think it's all based on the fact that Buffalo really committed to sticking with 2 deep safeties the entire game.
Yeah.
Or at least for the decent portion of the game. So Mahomes realized if I just break the first line and you got the linebackers matched up on Kelsey, etc., nobody's going to turn around. I'm going to be wide open. And that's kind of what happened. Of course, 2 of the runs on the first drive were just pure scrambles of him just running around trying to make plays. But there was the one play on 3rd and 6. He took a 34 up the middle. Man coverage, nobody turns around. You've seen it before. So I don't think he went out of his way to run. I think it was just Buffalo's game plan on trying so heavily to avoid giving up the big play that they left themselves vulnerable to quarterback scrambles. You?
Yeah, I agree. It's a anytime you're going to play too high with man coverage, there's a great chance the middle of the field's going to be wide open.
Yeah.
So that you're going to be able to pick up yards there.
Especially if you're giving help over the top to Hill and come, then you have even less people worry about the quarterback running.
Right. You know what, Scott? I see some people talking about it. This is the thing that we want to talk about next, so we might as well just fade right into this segment here. Let's talk about this. Is a rather esoteric award for this one today, but let's find out who it is that is the Monday edition of Donkey of the Day. All right. Well, leave it to us to come off the NFL's best weekend in history. Can we say that, Scott? Every game decided on the last play. Can we say that's the best NFL playoff weekend in history? Would that be fair?
It's the best string of playoff games of all time.
Yeah, I think so. I think so too. So what are we going to do? We're going to roast the fucking NFL. That's right. That's what you come here for. Hot takes from us. And this really isn't a hot take. It's about the overtime. It is absolutely ridiculous that 2 heavyweight teams like that play their guts out and score 72 points in regulation, and yet only one team has an opportunity to win the game. Absolutely fucking ridiculous. And I will say, to Kansas City Chiefs fans' credit, most of them have been very consistent of what I've seen on talk radio, what I've seen on Twitter. When this happened to the Chiefs in 2018, when the Chiefs engineered a miraculous comeback after being down 14-0 at halftime against the Patriots, they came back, tied the game, goes to a coin flip. Brady gets the ball. Patrick Mahomes never touches the ball. Brady goes down and wins the game. Chiefs fans bitches about it. The Chiefs, after the 2018 season, at the winter meetings, they proposed a rule change where every team would have an opportunity to have the ball at least once in the playoffs and overtime. It was overwhelmingly defeated, including a very conspicuous no vote by the Buffalo Bills. So I have no fucking sympathy for the Buffalo Bills in this situation. You had your chance. It sucks. We ate it in 2018. It's a stupid rule. We tried to change it. You said fuck off. Well, to that I say fuck you, Buffalo Bills fans. Do I feel bad for Buffalo? Yeah, probably the second best team in the NFL right now. I feel bad for them. But you had a chance. So that's it. Suck it.
Yeah, so it's a fair complaint, especially when I didn't know about the 2018 rule vote stuff, so you filled me in on that before we went on air. But I do think it's obvious when you have these 2 teams that are doing whatever they want offensively, a crazy game, everything like that, you can't determine the outcome on a coin. I mean, give me a break. At some point, you got to realize now, I do think this is going to be one of those games, if not the game, that causes a rule change. It does seem like, I'm assuming, winter meetings this offseason, you will see some reform to the overtime rules because there is such an outrage for it. You really need to have it. Both teams need to get the ball, force them to kick an extra point, and then if you want to have the option, if you're Buffalo, let's just say Kansas City scores, Buffalo gets the ball back, you have the option, if you're the Bills, to kick the extra point and tie, and then it goes to sudden death, or you go for 2.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in for that. Let them both get a shot.
And you tweeted out something. And I'm gonna David the Italian. I'm gonna talk about that point here in a minute. But Scott, you texted me something, and it was kind of half-hearted, a joke. And the more I thought about it, the more I thought it was a great idea because both of those defenses were gassed. Was there any?
It sounds crazy what I'm about to say or what you're about to say on my behalf, but
yeah, no, go ahead and lay your point out since it was you that you came up with this idea.
So everybody knew as soon as the coin toss happened, the game was over. I mean, you needed to pray for a holding penalty. You got to pray for a tipped interception, a drop pass, something. But you knew the Bills weren't going to get a stop. I made the argument the Bills should have went for an onside kick. And I know that sounds really stupid because you're giving the Chiefs the ball at basically your own 45.
Right.
Did it really matter where they were on the field?
Absolutely not.
I think an onside kick there is so crazy nobody would ever do it. I think it actually makes sense.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I'd have to look at the play-by-play, but I know it didn't take long for the Chiefs to take the ball from their own 25 and move it 30 yards up the field.
Probably. I believe the Chiefs faced 1 third down on the drive, and it was 3rd and 1.
Yep, 3rd and 1. They hit Kelsey. So
when you look up, I believe the Chiefs had 3 or 4 straight plays resulting in a first down. The Bills' defense had nothing left. They were done.
Either defense.
At that point, it's kind of like Harbaugh going for 2 against the Packers or the Steelers, and people are going, "What an idiot! Go to overtime." And he looks over and goes, "We have no corners. Like
right.
we're not gonna live. Like we don't have a choice. We have to end the game now."
Yep.
The Bills going for the onside kick there, I really don't mind it. The real issue was not squibbing it in regulation, but that already happened.
You want to talk about that? Because I know that's the talking point all of this about this game for the most part all day. You want to talk about the advantages or disadvantages of squibbing the kick? Is there any reason? And I haven't seen McDermott answer this question just because I haven't looked for it. I'm sure it's out there. I don't know what he said. But in your estimation, is there a good, solid argument to be made for not squibbing it there?
I think the only argument that was in McDermott's head, which is completely wrong, was the fact that Tyreek Hill had a big punt return before, and they were afraid of containing him. I'm assuming that's the only argument that you'd have. It's a stupid argument, but you have to squib there. Mahomes is, in my opinion, the most talented quarterback of all time. Your defense has given up 33 points, and assuming Hill even breaks it, let's say Hill gets to the 35, which counts as breaking it in today's NFL, because most of the time you get back to the 25 and you feel lucky. You're killing what to get back to the 35?
Yeah.
5 seconds? 8 seconds?
Yeah, I think what you're going to do is you're going to try to get an up man to get that ball and immediately fall down, which is probably going to run off. I think the best case scenario for the Chiefs, you run off 2 or 3 seconds there.
You run off 2 or 3 seconds, and maybe you pick up the ball at the 30 instead of the 25.
Yep.
I'll give up 5 yards for 3 seconds.
Yeah, that made no sense to me at all.
That didn't make sense. I don't understand why these teams love prevent so much. Besides the squib kick, I understand the last thing you want to do is give up a touchdown. That's great. Mm-hmm. You know how many deep throws Mahomes attempted the entire game? 0. Because you did a perfect job blocking everything over the top and forcing him to throw underneath. Keep the 2 high safeties, maybe throw in a third one, and just give up some 10, 15-yard completions. How do you let them dump it off to Tyreek Hill, basically a de facto screen pass, and gain 30 yards on one play? What kind of defense are you running?
Yeah, not good. Not good, Bob. Not good at all.
The Kelsey play wasn't great defense either, but the Hill defense was mind-boggling to me. They just gave up 25, 30 yards in about 5 seconds just by having nobody within 30 yards of the line of scrimmage. Made no sense.
Yeah, that Kelsey pass, I don't know if you read this or not, but Kelsey said to Mahomes, he goes, I'm not gonna run the pattern that's called. I'm gonna find an open spot. Just hit me.
Yeah.
And Mahomes came to the line and looked over the defense and screamed, do it. And that's when Kelsey knew that he was going to be going to him. So
yeah, you go 4 verts, you're going to find some openings in the middle. That's kind of what happened. But that Hill defense on that first play of the drive was some of the dumbest defense I've seen all year. I don't know what you're trying to get.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand it. Scott, you and I talked just personally during the season about our favorite receiver, who we'd want to have as a favorite receiver. I took Hill. You kind of thought I might be a homer.
Wasn't a favorite, as a matter of the best. Your favorite's obviously going to be Tyreek Hill.
The best, correct. And I think you saw him make a play that Can I say no other receiver in the NFL could make?
Yeah, you can say that.
I don't think anybody has those moves. I don't think anybody's that fast. I'm sorry. And you see,
I would take Devontae Adams still, but it wasn't like I insulted Tyreek Hill by saying, "Aha, I'm going to take Adams because Hill stinks." No, Hill's a top 3 receiver, top 2 receiver in the league. I just think Adams is more consistent.
yeah, Adams made a couple of fantastic catches in that game as well. Let's talk about that a little bit, Scott. Green Bay, 30 years.
They would have been our mad and disappointed.
Yeah,
we are kind of mad.
2 of the best quarterbacks in NFL history. Can we say certainly top 10?
Top 10.
Arguably top 5.
Rodgers, I think, is top 3, top 4 all time.
Okay.
I think Favre's a little bit overrated, but he's still top 10.
Fair enough.
Is that fair?
3 Super Bowls, 2 championships in 30 years, Scott. Is that disappointing for Green Bay fans?
That's awful. And people can talk about how any title's good. I'm sure Bills fans would argue for any title right now. But the point is, you can't be gifted 2 top 10 quarterbacks of all time and win 2 championships in 30 years. You can't do that. That's a minimum of about 4 to be satisfied. Is that fair? 2 per quarterback?
Sure. Well, yeah. Look what we've done with Mahomes. The Chiefs have been in 4 straight AFC Championship games, and through luck, they've hosted all 4 of them. But they were the number 1 seed twice, and they were the number 2 seed twice. So they had the good fortune to have 2 shitty number 1 seeds that allowed them to keep that string going. But they're a massive favorite next week against Cincinnati.
It should be. And
we'll talk about that a little bit. But David the Italian brings up a good point. Let's switch gears here just for a second. Talk about Grayson Allen. Scott, you want to talk about Grayson Allen a little bit? A kid that was a dirty player for Duke, and apparently not much has changed. You want to talk about Grayson Allen for a second?
Well, he killed Caruso, which I don't really understand.
What did he do to Caruso? Broke his arm, shoulder? What happened?
Something like that. He was going for a layup or a dunk, and Allen basically just tomahawked him to the floor. Now, was he making a little bit of a play on the ball? Maybe. But it wasn't even the act. It was the fact that he was giggling and kind of laughing after he basically killed the guy, which is kind of the main outrage that's happened around this point, is because Allen got ejected for a play. Basketball, a lot happens very quickly. You stick your hands up and you might accidentally injure somebody, but you can't be laughing when they eject you from the game and Caruso's on the floor with a messed up arm. I feel like that's what drove people nuts about it. The part that annoys me is the punishment system in various sports. I don't understand how you can injure somebody for 6 weeks, 8 weeks, maybe even a season, and you get 1 game.
I'm probably not the first person to say this, but it's always been my position in this. If you injure somebody on a blatant situation like that, you're out as long as they are. That's very simple to me. You're out with no pay until they come back.
Yeah, I'm with Max on this one. I wasn't sure if it actually was a flagrant, because once again, everything happened so quickly. I don't think Allen saw him going through the lane and said, "I'm going to snap his arm." I think he just put his hands up. Some of it was the ball. Some of it was contact afterwards. I didn't think it was egregious, but I do think that the giggling after the guy's injured and everything like that seems a little bit, let's just say, on brand for Grayson Allen, which is why nobody likes him.
Right.
But the 1 game part, of course, Jokic, for example, is an all-time great player and he's must-watch TV. Markieff Morris hasn't played since Jokic absolutely rammed him in the back.
Right.
Is that fair?
No.
Probably not. I know Morris is, a role player and Jokic is one of the, if not the best players in the league, but Morris has missed 40-something games and Jokic missed 1 or 2. That seems a little bit flawed, doesn't it?
Yeah, agreed. T-Train bringing up something that I talked about on my video for the Sunday games. Sean Hockley is a donkey as well. He's out there to grandstand and nothing else. 100% agree.
He's got the muscles.
3 unsportsmanlike penalty calls in that game, Scott. What the fuck are we doing here in the playoffs?
He called something on Brady, though, so I kind of have to like him.
I agree.
An unsportsmanlike penalty on Brady? I thought that's against the rules. I think you can't call anything against Brady.
It was funnier than balls, though. But I have to admit, I was extremely happy when I saw the Chiefs drew John Hussey. second to the last in offensive holding, second to the last in DPI.
It was a well officiated game.
It was a great officiating game. I think he called one holding and maybe one or two interference calls, and they were both.
Yeah, you had the one where Mahomes got sacked, where it was holding in the red zone. It was holding. He grabbed him when he came out of the break, so that was a fine call.
Yeah, couldn't disagree. Couldn't disagree. Brad Crawford says Mahomes is incredible. Yeah, absolutely right.
He's the most talented quarterback of all time.
When to throw, when to run, great decision makers. That's what makes him so special. I agree. You look at some of the quarterbacks, like if you look at Joe Burrow, which is an incredible talent, but even in the same situation, I don't think Mahomes gets sacked 9 times.
Yeah.
I think sometimes it pisses off his offensive line that he moves so much in the pocket that he rolls out of danger, but he senses that danger. And even when he senses it wrong, like he did on the touchdown pass to Pringle, he somehow still has the ability to throw that ball and get it in the end zone. When I saw him spin right into the pressure, I'm like, well, that's fucking going to be an incomplete pass. And he somehow found Pringle and got Pringle to high point. So
pretty much the entire first drive of that Chiefs game looked like the Super Bowl against the Buccaneers. You said Mahomes running backwards about 30 yards at a time. The only difference is that the plays actually worked out in the end. But Mahomes is incredible. Allen's incredible. They are 2 of the top 3 quarterbacks in the league right now. Yep. Rodgers somewhere either in the middle, or you can put Rodgers where you want. But they're great. They'll have a rivalry for a long time. I really just don't know what defenses are supposed to do when you have the perfect pass rush, you're ready to go, and next thing you know, he buys about 8 seconds and throws a laser 30 yards behind the line of scrimmage. I don't know what you're supposed to do if you're a defense.
Nothing. James Mount says if we're lucky, we can see Mahomes and Allen for another 15 years. That'd be fantastic. I'll tell you what, if I'm a Buffalo fan, I'll tell you what I'm worried about, Scott, and that is I'm worried about Allen getting banged up running the ball the way he does, because that's one of those things where
he's also a lot bigger than the Lamar Jacksons of the world. So you can make an argument that he might be able to absorb more contact, but you don't want that much contact.
Just takes one, buddy. It just takes one to ruin your season.
I think the most impressive escape that RW just in general can refer to was the 4th and 4 play from Allen when he faked 2 defenders out of his shoes and scrambled down the near sideline for a first down. That was incredible.
Yeah. James Mount says Hill is so fast. Hillis. I'm sorry. He's talking about Hill. Yeah, you don't appreciate it till you see him open up the Jets like that, and just he left those cornerbacks in the dust, and those cornerbacks are generally the fastest guys on your team. When they used to do the races, it would usually be the cornerbacks that would win those 40-yard dashes. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable to watch him play. It really is. You got to limit those Allen runs. I agree, Nathan. You've got to. I mean, it's a great weapon, no question about it. Where you have a quarterback, it's like watching a good college team with a good dual option quarterback. Knowing on a 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, 4th and short, whatever, you can't stop him. You're not going to fucking stop him. You just can't do it. Bills have had some of the most devastating playoff losses of all time. No question. I can't imagine.
You said playoff losses. If you get rid of playoffs, I'd say Minnesota deserves a seat at the table.
Yeah, I know. I'm sure. And, people forget about, because it didn't come 4 in a row. Minnesota's also lost 4 Super Bowls as well. So.
Well, I was thinking of the Minnesota losses and the heartbreaks there. A couple of regular season ones in there. Buffalo at least has had some moments. You had the greatest comeback of all time, for example. So you've had some good moments. I'm not sure what Minnesota's had besides the Stephon Diggs touchdown.
Yeah, Minneapolis Miracle, buddy.
You're looking at the all-time devastating playoff losses. It might be a tie between Buffalo and Minnesota. Minnesota's had a bunch of brutal losses.
Yep, they really have. The year their field goal kicker never missed a field goal until they needed one in the playoffs.
See, I know you're talking about last-second losses, D, but I mean, Minnesota, you have the Gary Anderson who hasn't missed a kick all year, misses an overtime. Blair Walsh misses a 20-something yarder against Seattle. You have a bunch of brutal losses for Minnesota over the years. Really, really painful stuff.
And I know Butker came through for the Chiefs in the end, but as a Chiefs fan, that should have never been in question because he missed an extra point and he missed a field goal. Now, granted, the field goal is 51 yards, but that's not something he usually misses. The last couple of years, he's gone through a little thing where he's missed some extra points. He's been good on extra points this year, but that was, in a big game like that, those 4 points almost made the difference.
I got a question since you brought up kickers. Do you believe the McPherson story?
What tell me.
So Burrow in the post-game presser was talking about how great McPherson is.
I'm sending us to the national championship game.
Yeah, so Burrow's sitting there, and McPherson realizes he's in range. It's like 50, whatever the hell. And he turns to Burrow, takes one stretch, and goes, looks like we're going to the AFC title game. And he absolutely drills it. I don't know if that's true or not, but I hope it was.
That's
good for him. McPherson, I have McPherson and Carlson tied as the second best kicker in the league, behind Tucker, of course, who's the best of all time. Is that a fair ranking system? I feel like McPherson and Carlson are just money in the bank every time.
I'll take Butker. Because again,
that's a homer pick in my opinion.
Maybe
a little bit.
I
think Butker's top 5, but I think McPherson and Carlson are just all day, every day.
I'll take Butker because of the strength of his leg. I think he was 9 for 12 from beyond.
So you're saying strength of the leg. McPherson's made a bunch of 50s in the playoffs, and so has Carlson did it throughout the entire season. I guess the only argument you'd have against Carlson, he's in a dome for half the games.
Yep.
So you can factor that in. McPherson just gets buckets, man. I mean, that guy is so damn good.
David, the times I give Brady 3 Super Bowls and their defense 3. Yeah, there was some really good stats. Somebody tweeted out a meme about quarterbacks in their championships and how many of them have done it with a top 10 defense. Mahomes is the only one that's won a world championship without a top 10 defense, by the way. So
I got to actually bring up one thing before we kind of go back on track. I got to talk about Rodgers because we talked about Allen. We talked about Mahomes. I mentioned top 3 quarterback. Of course, Rodgers being somewhere in the middle, probably going to win MVP. Usually Rodgers has an alibi or an excuse. The defense stinks, which is why he loses a lot of playoff games. Now, I know the weather was bad, the offensive line wasn't good, and the special teams basically blew the game. At some point, you got to talk about Rodgers losing in the playoffs all the time.
Yeah.
Because Green Bay, we talked about how embarrassing it is for them to only win 2 titles in 30 years with 2 of the best quarterbacks of all time. You got to find a way to win these games, man. And Brady gets some luck involved because of the fumble recoveries and you had the tuck rule and a lot of stuff over the years. But what's the deal with Rodgers in the playoffs? How much blame does he deserve?
Well, you know what? I think you give him a fair amount for the weekend game. But
yeah, that's why I'm asking.
At the end of the day, they're up 10 points with less than 2 minutes left and the ball. And you can't fucking punt. Mm-hmm. So I think now what I have a beef with, and Andy is one of the worst at this, when you've got that kill shot, when you've got the ball back with the lead, 2 minutes or less, run, punt, hope your defense can hold them. Fuck, play the same game that's got you there. Go get a first down, end the goddamn game.
Well, my argument was that on defense. That was my argument with Buffalo. Don't play full prevent when you've given up no big plays the entire game.
Yeah, exactly. Brad Cropper said, Mahomes is going to need to win the Super Bowl without another top 10 defense this year. Yeah, that was quite and you saw a great illustration of a great offense is going to beat a great defense. I'm not going to say every time, but I would put my money on the great offense because you saw the top overall scoring defense in the NFL and you saw the top scoring defense in the NFL for the last 11 weeks go at it, and neither one of them could stop the fucking offense of the other side. Yeah, not a chance.
It's speculation, by the way, but there's been rumors of Rodgers leaving and there's been rumors of Brady retiring. I think that's all just stories circulating. You think there's actually some merit to it? I think Brady's coming back.
Yeah, I think so.
I can't imagine Brady leaving after a loss like that where you're missing a bunch of key pieces you had earlier in the year. I expect him to running back one more time. Next year's probably his last, if I had to guess.
I would think maybe sign him for another year. I can't imagine giving somebody at 44 a 2-year deal.
Just saying, though, you give him 1 year, you go year by year, and you run it back. Because if you have a healthy Godwin and you bring in some guys maybe on the minimum, which you probably could get, I do think he'll be back next year. The Rodgers one I find fascinating because I thought he'd come back. He still might come back. They're about 40 million over the cap.
Yeah.
Green Bay is screwed.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you're supposed to do.
Help. They can't get him any help.
So I'm not getting him any help. I don't think they're going to re-sign. Like, I'm assuming they'll give Devontae the franchise tag, whatever, but that roster is going to fall apart. Rodgers might actually leave.
Very good. Carrot says Kennesaw State will get an involuntary castration. Good to see Carrot in the house, man. Does Rodgers retire? Does he go somewhere else?
He's not going to retire. No,
I don't think so.
I think he's too good at football to retire. He's going to be the two-time defending MVP. I don't think he's going to retire. The question is, where would he want to go? Because there is a team that's still in the playoffs that's beaten him 4 times in the playoffs out of 4 attempts that probably wants to move on from Jimmy G. I know Jimmy G might lead him to a Super Bowl again. He might not. If Rodgers is available, you better believe San Francisco is going to load up the truck. That's all I'm saying.
Is Jimmy G the ultimate Rodney Dangerfield of quarterbacks?
No respect?
What the fuck do you want from me, people? I take this team and put them in the NFC Championship. I take them into the playoffs. Or I take them to the Super Bowl, and you're like, well, fuck, I wonder how fucking Aaron Rodgers would look. God damn.
Well, you can talk about Jimmy G leading his team to winning games. He had a great final drive for the field goal. It was a great job. Couple of third down conversions. Props there. He had, 125 passing yards?
Yeah, it wasn't.
He had like 80 passing yards through 3 quarters.
Awful weather.
He didn't do anything.
I would have lambasted Ambrose.
I don't think Jimmy G's any good. He's been a decent game manager, and the snow definitely helped because the offense wasn't going to do much in that game anyway. It didn't. They had 0 offensive touchdowns in the game. But I do think if you're talking about where Rodgers might go, there's 2 destinations in mind. One is San Francisco, which I think makes a lot of sense. The other is a bit of a wild card, Miami. I think Miami's got a shot.
Yeah, fair enough. Hey, let me ask you this. Bill McDonald brings up a great point. You and I were roasting people for playing the prevent defense earlier. So Tampa Bay is obviously playing prevent, right?
Send the house.
How do you let Cooper Kupp get behind you? What the fuck?
Because they didn't play prevent.
You're playing zero blitz there, right?
That's doing. And asked Arians about the play call at the end and said, why would you blitz against the quarterback that's top 3 in the league, if not 1 against the blitz? And his argument was, we called the blitz, we called the 0, and 2 people didn't get the message. So he blamed it on them not actually sending a full house blitz when they were supposed to.
Right.
I think the play call was stupid in general. It reminded me a lot of the Greg Williams all-out blitz call against the Raiders last year for the Jets, where you're looking over and going, what the hell are you doing? But I thought it was a bad play call for the defense there. Regardless of who got the message or not, you can't blitz there. You got to just accept the fact you're going to overtime and move on.
You see, Steve Spagnuolo learned his lessons with the Chiefs after fucking going 0 blitz on 4th and 27 and letting the Bengals pick up that first down. He didn't blitz under any big in any big plays last night.
Yeah,
he rushed 4 and took their chances, dropping 7 into coverage.
Talking about dropping people into coverage. The issue that I have is how deep you put them into coverage.
Yeah, James Mountsberg gave a good point. San Francisco had a lot of drops early, including a big one to Kittle, which absolutely lit up Chiefs Twitter because it's always the
Kelsey's
argument.
better. Yeah,
right. That's the thing. And if you watch Kelsey play yesterday, anybody that says Kelsey can't block, you need to fucking watch that game again. That's all I'm saying to you. Any chance Rodgers ends up as the Eastern Washington as the quarterback coach? No, there isn't.
I'm going to say no.
Not for. I don't think Rodgers wants to coach. Has Rodgers?
I know you're defending Jimmy G. Just a little bit of devil's advocate, a little bit of no respect. But I mean, if you have a chance at Rodgers, you take it, right? I mean, the San Francisco's all around talent. What, a top 2 roster in football?
I don't think so. I mean,
if you throw quarterback out for a second, do they have a top 2 roster in all of football?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I would say
they would. So you get Rodgers and you try to win a couple titles.
They're not going to do that. No chance.
I think they should try. That's all I'm saying.
Thanks, TL. I appreciate it. It was a huge win. It was a really fun game it's one of the few times I'm like, fuck, I wish I would have been there. That would have been worth the cold and the hassle and the expense and all that stuff. So I told you before the show, I was jealous of my son because He was just about to get banned from big games because he was at the World Series Game 7 when Bumgarner went crazy. He was at the Chiefs New England game that we lost in overtime, and then he was there yesterday. He was about to be 0 for 3 in big games. So Jimmy G is a playoff winner. I agree, Ryan.
He wins playoff games. I'll give him props, but I don't know how much, if any, of the lifting does he actually have to do.
Well, and Ryan brings up a good point. Rodgers sucks in the playoff. What is he?
Define a timeout. You got to define.
He's 10-9 in the playoffs.
Define what sucks means.
10-9 in the playoffs.
His record is not great. His numbers are ridiculous. He has phenomenal playoff numbers in terms of completion percentage, passing touchdowns, interceptions. The numbers are there. Most of the reasons why he loses, or the main reason, his defense always seems to fall apart in the playoffs. Every single time. You look at the points allowed in the playoff losses, it's staggering how bad the defense is. So yes, you can look at wins and losses and say that Rodgers isn't good in the playoffs. His numbers are absolutely insane. He's a really good playoff quarterback who's been the victim of a lot of brutal defensive collapses. This past weekend was not one of them. He did not play well. I will admit that. But in most scenarios, I cannot call him a loser when his numbers are really good almost every single game.
All right, fair enough. All right, buddy. This is one of those shows we could do for like hours. By the way, what are we going to do this weekend? We're going to do the late game. We're going to do the California game.
We can do whichever game. I'm back in town, of course. I have the background, so yeah, we'll do it.
All right.
And I know you don't want to do the Chiefs game. So
no, I don't. We'll do the we will do the NFC Championship game live this weekend. So you guys definitely tune in for that. We had a blast last time. Hopefully we'll talk some football this time. He didn't trust his other receivers, zeroed in on Adams even after because Lazard was wide open a bunch of times, and you definitely got the feeling that he didn't trust Lazard.
It's definitely true. Rodgers did not play well this weekend, but I'm not going to call him an all-time loser in the playoffs, even though his numbers in most of those games are good enough to win a lot of playoff games. That's my point.
Okay, fair enough. Brad brings up a great point about Chiefs fans. Dude, they're fucking special. They are something else, including me. I'll tell you what, I'm a Chiefs fan, but when it comes to the total like fandom shit, I'm not like that. I've got a couple of Chiefs shirts. I've got a couple little bric-a-brac things. But you see guys that have fucking rooms and devoted to Chiefs stuff, and they spend $8,000 a year on season tickets. And no. I like them. I went through that phase. I don't invest everything I have in my home team. I just don't. Part of that is being a professional gambler where, you're a fan of whoever you have money on. Texas Tech, Kansas. Scott, let's talk about that real quick. Somebody asked about it really early, a big game tonight. KU and a K-State, fucking horrible as a K-State fan. Talk about talking shit way too early as they had a 14-point halftime.
What do you score, 50 in the first half?
Yeah, they were really on, and were taunting KU fans and saying they own the state of Kansas, and that did not work out very well. You have a Mahomes blanket.
You kind of need one, honestly.
I do have a jersey, but we buried my dad in it.
So you know that it's a good
Mahomes jersey.
You know that it's a good sign for a team when the only flaw your quarterback has is his brother. That's how you know you're in good shape.
Yep. By the way, Scott, who led the weekend in rushing and passing?
What is Patrick Mahomes?
That is correct. So if you had Patrick Mahomes to lead all rushers, congratulations, you cashed a monster fucking ticket. Just like if you had Gabe Davis at 3 touchdowns at what'd you say, 95 to 1, 100 to 1?
No, 95 to 1 was tie at halftime, tie full game.
Okay, that's right.
The 3 touchdowns, I'm assuming, was 100 to 1. That's usually the de facto price.
Yeah, it was, and you couldn't even get 4. So
yeah.
Texas Tech, KU tonight, Scott. KU's won 4 straight, but they've failed to cover 3 of the 4. They've been decent at home. This Texas Tech team, a little bit inconsistent, coming off a road loss to K-State and a road win against Baylor. What do you got in this one, bud?
Well, they're consistent. They just have an inconsistent offense. So you know what you're going to get. The point is that it's not a fun time.
138.
It's not a fun time trying to expect what's going to happen. Kansas at home, of course, is great. We know how good it is over there in their home arena. Oh, boy.
Larryville.
I feel like it's a correlated parlay. If you like Texas Tech, take the under. because I do think that if this game's
sure.
going to be close, Kansas cannot do much offensively in this game because Kansas has a lot of firepower. They have McCormick. They got guys on the boards Texas Tech does not have. But if Kansas scores, let's just say 75, there's no chance Texas Tech covering.
No,
I think you can agree with that.
No, I would say they're not going to be able to keep up in a shootout. I think it's a double correlated parlay. If you like KU, take the over, and if you like Texas Tech, take the under. And
I agree.
Put them together. As far as making a pick, because I know that's probably what they want us to do, I'm going to take Tech here, Scott. This is a Kansas team that has been really inconsistent covering numbers at home. They might eke out a win, but I think that spread takes us just a little bit outside the realm of scramble points at the end. I think the 7's probably safe. So I like Texas Tech to keep it close.
I'm going to agree. It kind of reminds me a lot of the Kansas State Iowa State game that happened a couple weeks ago, where you look at the numbers and just go, Kansas is probably going to win, but it should come down to the wire. And Kansas hit a game-winning shot with like 3 seconds left. This game will be a war. I think Kansas is going to win 5 points, give or take.
Okay, fair enough. Did we talk about we talked about the SWAC game, right?
Yeah. We disagreed. I was leaning Prairie, you were leaning Alabama.
Okay. All right, good enough. It's a tough betting spot for me because both of these teams are awful. They're awful against the number. They're awful as far as just the wins go. So yeah, that's my advice would be to find other spots there. Okay, let's do it, buddy. We're kind of running late here, but yeah, we knew we were gonna have a lot to talk about. So, yeah, it's time. It's time. We do this each and every day, and we're gonna do it again. You ready, guys? I know you got your fancy Monday overalls ready to go, so put them on. Put that straw hat on your head. Climb aboard your John Deere, folks. It's time to bet the farm. All right, Scott, we did have a bet the farm play for Friday, and how did that end up going?
We ended up having Illinois State -7, and they beat Evansville by about 40.
Cue the banjos! Yeehaw! All right, buddy. What have we got cooked up for today?
So, going back to college basketball, we're going back to one of our favorite cash cows, Eastern Illinois. Team total under 56.5. You look at the Panthers this season.
Oh, this is actually me, isn't it?
What?
This is actually me, isn't it?
I don't remember who gave out Illinois State over
That's
the.
You. I did. All right, here we go. All right.
No, you do it.
All right, I will.
Okay.
It's Eastern Illinois. Team total under 56.5. I played this bet the other day, guys. They had him at 68.5. That's free fucking money right there. And if they'd had the number up sooner, I would have given it out as a play, but they didn't have it up the night before. When I saw 68.5, I texted Rochelle. I hope you jumped on that, buddy.
Of course.
Because it's incredible. So Eastern Illinois, they are absolutely dreadful on the offensive side, averaging 51.7 points per game against D1 teams.
Can you say that number again?
51.7.
That's not good.
That's not good. Not good at all, Bob. Eastern Illinois has finished under this mark of 56.5 in 13 of their 16 games. Why are they so bad, you wonder? Well, number one, they are second worst shooting team in the country, and they are dead last in offensive efficiency, according to Ken Palm. If you've been following this Eastern Illinois under, you know they started the season going 14-0 to the under. The defense has completely fallen off the fucking rails here lately, giving up 90 the other night as we had them on the under there.
That's the thing. They've gone over in their games, but they've gone under their actual point totals.
Yep. So we're going to just get off of the other side. We're not going to count on their defense at all. Like I said, the under is 14-2 overall in their games. You want to play the under there? I don't hate it. I just have no confidence in this Panthers defense. So give us the Eastern Illinois team total under 56.5, and that's pretty much available market wide. You don't have to hunt for that one. That's available everywhere. So There you go. That's going to do it for our Bet the Farm play. That's going to do it for our Monday show. As always, thanks for stopping by. We appreciate it, man. Great comments as always. I knew we were going to have a lot of things to talk about today. Sorry if we didn't get to you. Sorry if we didn't get to something you wanted to see covered. We try to grip it and rip it here in about 45 minutes, and we're always going to leave shit out. Mainly because I like to fucking talk. So yeah. Sorry, guys. Again, don't forget to stop by and check us out each and every day as we do this show, 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, as my friend Scott Reichel and I do our very best to help you in your journey to head back to the window. You guys take care. We'll see you tomorrow.